This is Crash Talk. I'm Mike Harber, your host, and it's another great show tonight. I have another guest that you're going to find fascinating with the information that she's able to share. Her name is Erica Eversman, an attorney from Cleveland, Ohio. I've known Erica maybe at least 30, 35 years. I met her at a conference as a body shop owner, and she was giving information to body shops about understanding the relationships and how to work effectively for your consumer customer, not an insurance company, and how to make sure that you're doing the right things at the right time and that you're complying with state law. I learned so much from Erica. She is an attorney, and so because of that, information that's given here tonight by her could very well be legal advice. But she is not from the state of Washington. She's from Ohio. So if you need legal advice, you need to seek that from a practicing attorney in your area. And with that, let me just say, I'm not giving any legal advice, nor are any of my employees, anyone from CrashTalk or Harber Appraisal. So with that, let me say that she has this nonprofit organization called the Auto Education and Policy Institute, and we will post that web address so that you can go there. Amazing amount of information that's been compiled in one place. So with that, let's hear what Erica has to say to give information to you to help you if you have an insurance claim. So with that, here's Erica. So, all right, Erica, one of the things that I remember that you're famous for is that you've dug into the policies, and we just in another version, you and I were talking about the importance of using your own insurance and the benefits of that, because you're working with a company that you've already paid and they have a duty to you. So then if we start dissecting, what do they owe you? What is the provisions in the policy that will affect your claim? And there's a couple things. Well, one is the limit of liability and how much they're required by that contract to pay on your behalf if it's a covered loss.
Right.
The other is then the payment of loss. And they have the option, the insurance company gets the option. You don't have the option. Just like if you want your vehicle totaled because you don't want it back, right? And how many people say that to me, but it's just like, you don't understand. You don't get to make the choice. They do. Now, if they make the choice, then you have the right to make sure that first off, it's returned to its pre-loss condition, or like, kind, and quality, whichever little term you want to use,
sure,
back the way it is. So if the insurance company then makes the election to repair, then they have to abide by the contract, and there's a provision in there under payment of loss. So let me turn you loose. Explain in layman's terms, because it's so confusing. See, and I think this is misleading, because when it talks about pay or repair, well, most people are thinking, well, yeah, I'm having it repaired. But it's not quite what it means.
It's tricky. And part of me wonders how deliberate it is. Well, and in fairness, even to the insurers, again, since they have to get their language approved, a lot of those payment of loss provisions came out of, remember, since this is property casualty, came out of fire policies from the 1800s. Mm-hmm. And then followed through into the 1900s, and those just got morphed over into auto policies. So what happens is, typically the insurer, what you're really talking, when we talk about payment of loss, we're really talking about the method by which the insurance company is going to remedy the claim you have made. Okay. And this only applies when you are recovering against your own insurer, and therefore you're governed by the contract terms. It clearly does not apply when you are recovering against the person who hit you, even though the insurers will often try to use the same language and suggest to you that you are limited by terms within their insurance policy, when in fact that is simply not true.
Right.
So
another good topic.
So, but to your point, so what happens is the insurers usually have, really a variety of ways that they can remedy your partial loss repair. And that is, they can pay for the vehicle they can pay you for that loss, which means the insurance company writes you a check. They say, we think your loss is $5,000. Here's your $5,000. Go do whatever you want. Okay. Or they can repair or replace. And these two provisions have really gotten mashed into, the insurers have tried to use them both simultaneously, even though they are discrete remedies. And the actual repair slash replace is the election to repair. And what happens with an election to repair is, it means that the insurance company is itself responsible for repairing your car. Not, oh, take your car over to Joe's Premium Collision Repair. They'll do a great job for you, and call us when it's there and we'll come out and look at it. No, it means that the insurance company is responsible for collecting your car, deciding who is going to repair it, taking it to the repair shop, getting it fixed, and bringing it back to you. And in doing so, then what they do, they effectively become the repairer, because they have made all the decisions. They've at least had the right to make all the decisions in the repair of the vehicle. So for the consumer, it's just like if you were hiring someone to build you a house. You hire the general contractor, and the general contractor is the person you sue for problems with the house, even if the problem is with whoever the subcontractor was who poured the cement. So when the insurance company, if they came back and said, no, it's not us, it's the body shop, they did a bad job, it's like, no. You're the principal, you're the general on this, they're your subcontractor, you can sue them. But you don't get to just say, oh no, don't look at us. And so what happened, there were a number of cases in the 60s and 70s in which insurers did exercise the right to the election to repair, and they got handed a lot more liability than they expected to. The other thing that's interesting about the election to repair also, because this is something that we see routinely with insurers' decisions about how much to pay for the repair of a vehicle, is that they often do not do a good job fully understanding what the true cost of the repair will be, because they are not professional repairers. Right. They are professional lookers at damaged cars. That's what they are. At least they're adjusters or they're appraisers, depending on whatever state you're in and what they call them. So what happens with the election to repair, the courts all said in these cases that effectively what the insurer does if it elects to repair is that it converts that insurance policy contract into a contract for repair. And all the terms of the insurance policy, all those limitations go out the window, including the limitation of how much they will ultimately be responsible for paying. So if you have, we'll say, a $25,000 limit policy, and the insurance company truly elects to repair and takes the vehicle out, and the repair is 50 grand, the insurer's got to pay 50 grand. They don't get to say, oh, 25,000 was our limit, because they
can't give you
the policy, and it's no longer an insurance policy.
So they can't give you a
no
half repaired car. But at that point, they could still elect to total it.
Oh, sure, yeah. They can. What I'm saying though is that usually you are not entitled to change remedies along the way, again, unless state law requires it. So unless, and I'm making reference, of course, to the salvage law. If your state is a state that has a salvage standard that says when we anticipate 75% of the retail value of the car is going to be involved in this loss, right, then you are required, insurance company, to declare the vehicle to be a total loss and to pay a total loss and get a salvage title. That not every state has a standard. Ohio, Nevada, a number of our states don't, and we're what they call pure total loss states, which means, an insurance company can say, no, we want to repair through 100%, basically, you know, 1 penny less than 100% of the full value of the car without having to get a salvage title. So that's, I mean, one of the complications I will say that I have noted is that I am becoming increasingly convinced that many people who work at insurance companies as adjusters or as claims representatives truly, really do not understand the distinctions between, they don't really understand the insurance policy provisions and what they really mean. They don't understand the true distinctions between third party and first party, and what you get as an insured and what you get as somebody who is recovering against an insured. I truly am uncertain that many insurance folks who are working day to day with consumers truly understand what their insurance company sold the consumer in terms of coverage and what those real coverage terms actually mean.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Well, let's go back. So if the insurance company elects to repair,
Yes.
you're saying they're taking on the liability
100%.
of the outcome
That is correct.
and what happens in the future. So if their shop that they elect to have repair done for them, and
Yep.
they are going to turn it back to you,
Yep.
if something goes amiss, they're on the hook. And insurance companies, they try to flee from liability. They have an aversion to creating more liability for themselves.
Absolutely.
So what's happening in the marketplace, and this is what consumers don't understand if you read the policy, and most people don't, and it says they pay
Write you a check.
Pay in money, or repair or replace. Most people think, oh, well, it's being repaired. Well, no, it's not being repaired. They're paying you in money.
Which means they should butt out about how it gets repaired, which means they have no control and they have no input on the propriety of the repair. If they want to be in control of the repair, they have a mechanism to do that contained within their contract.
So what happens then for the consumer? And this is maddening, and especially my past experience as a body shop owner.
Sure.
I fix cars. So I fix cars, and my customer comes to me because I've worked with them before, and they know we're going to look out for them and we do good quality work. But I've got this third party over here, this insurer, saying, well, we don't pay for this, or we don't pay, or this is all we're going to pay. Now, when that happens, what is the consumer to do? How does a consumer assert their rights to have the repair and to have it paid in money, as opposed to having the insurance company try to do this hybrid? Well, we're going to pay in money, but we're going to still try to control how much we pay. And I do understand that there has to be some controls, but I've never, in my time, and I don't want to say how many years it's been, but we've been doing post-repair inspections. We work with people in many states. I've never seen a shop, labor rates or anything else, really gouging people. Now, we've seen fraud and we've seen some bad actors out there.
Sure.
But the whole issue of labor rates, and that's just, they're getting everybody's eye off the ball.
Yeah. Here's what the insurers have done to try to, I'm sorry, you were going to say?
Well, I guess, well, the question that's still there is, how does a consumer manage their claim because the purpose of CrashTalk is to help consumers get a better understanding of their rights, what's going on. They got to understand, or they don't know how to deal with it. So understanding the provisions, the payment of loss provisions, that the insurance company has to abide by that. How does a consumer assert their right?
One of the ways the consumer can do that is they can always go to my nonprofit's website, the Automotive Education and Policy Institute. So it's autoepi.org. And I have...
Are we able to post that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. This is a nonprofit website. I created this organization for the express purpose of helping consumers learn about and understand what their rights are when they have to deal with insurers and collision repair, and what some of these terms mean, and helping body shops understand what their obligations to consumers are, things like that. So I have a form called the election of remedies form. And, ordinary people, they can download this. I have one that's fillable. I have one that's, not. You can just print it out and send it to your insurance company and say, tell me how you are going to remedy my claim. Check 1, electing to repair, paying in money. And because insurers never tell you when you make a claim, okay, I've been in an accident. All right, well, they ask you all these other questions, but they never send you a letter that says, oh, hi, here's how we're going to remedy our claim under this provision of the policy. And again, I'm speaking generally, but to the best of my knowledge, the vast majority of states have insurance regulations that require insurance companies to tell their insureds information that the insureds need to know under the policy, or which policy provisions insurance companies are utilizing or are taking advantage of in their remedies. So an insured really has a right to demand to be informed before anything happens, before any repairs, before any parts get ordered, before anything. An insurance company, tell me which remedy under my insurance policy you are electing. And if the insurance company doesn't respond to that within X number of days, it's often between 15 and 21, depending on what the state law regulation is, they are in violation if they do not respond to the insured consumer to explain which portion of the policy they're going to be utilizing to remedy the claim.
What we've been aware of this because, again, you've kind of preached this for years, and I'm aware of it because of your providing the education. And it's amazing when you ask under what provision of the policy are they going to remedy the claim? Are they going to pay the loss? They don't get it. They'll all say, well, your vehicle's repairable. Okay, but are you going to pay in money? Are you going to take my vehicle? And they don't, it's like, it doesn't.
They don't understand. And that goes exactly right back to my point of saying that I believe a lot of the people who are trained by the insurers and sent out to deal with the consumers in either the adjusting or the claims representative handling aspect, they haven't been trained. They don't know the full policy provisions. They don't understand what the impact of those things are. They don't know the history of how they got here.
They have their word tracks.
Yeah, and that's sad.
They're given 2 weeks of training with a laptop, and they're given word tracks. And if you get them off, they don't know.
And that's sad. And that is a terrible failing on the part of the insurance companies. And I would really pressure the departments of insurance that insurers, as a result, are selling a product to consumers that in the vast majority of states, except for New Hampshire, we are required to have. So we are a captive marketplace, and we are a captive marketplace who is being served by ill-informed companies and their employees. I mean, think about that. Just think about that if you were, FedEx or you were one of these large shipping companies. I'm Erica's shipping company. And I don't tell you how I'm going to ship your product. I don't let you pick. I just say, okay, you can drop it off at my drop-off location. I'm not going to tell you whether it's going to go by air or boat or train, and just, and I'm not going to tell you if there are security guards or if it's going to be held in a secure facility, storage, anything. You just give me money, and that's all you need to know. I mean, think about that. There's just no way that that company would make any money, number one. And number two, if for some reason it managed to, there would be a lot of government entities looking at it and overseeing it and saying, whoa, you can't do this.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, insurance is just, it's almost like the black box. It's hard to understand. I mean, I've been doing this for so many years, and it's still, well, like you said earlier, looking at a policy for your mother, and how confusing these policies are. And you're an attorney. It's really, really very confusing. So I'm wondering though,
Right.
So a form that you've created that can be used, send that to the insurance company, and if they don't respond, and in our state, they have to respond to all pertinent communication within 15 days. And so what happens is they will respond, but they won't respond appropriately. They can say, oh, well, we responded, but it's like, well, you didn't answer the question. You responded to me, and you gave me some, lip service, but how do you get the insurer to take an appropriate position? And again, back to State Farm, they've put it in there that they're going to determine the cost of repair. It actually goes a little bit further than that. And that's the only policy I'm aware of in our state where State Farm says they get to determine the cost of repair at the rates. And so it's just like,
Progressive has that, at least in some states also.
huh. Well, so how does an insured, how do they protect themselves under those conditions?
It's very difficult. And it is very difficult. And again, I don't care how intelligent you are. I mean, you can be Einstein, PhD, whatever, that if you don't deal with this, you don't deal with the policies, you don't know the nuances of the policies, you don't know the history and the legal aspects of the policies, particularly in the state, if you don't know the insurance laws and the insurance regulations, you are a babe in the woods or a sitting duck or anything else. It has nothing to do with intelligence. This has to do with the fact that people infrequently use auto insurance. I mean, just statistically, I think it's people get into an accident like once every 7 years. Right. I mean, that's the general statistics. So it's not like health insurance that you use every single day, or that you need to know, I'm a diabetic and I have to have my insulin, replenished every 30 days. Mm-hmm. These are things people deal with infrequently. And when the accident happens, they're traumatized. I don't care how minor the accident is. It's a shocking event. You don't expect it to happen, and you get freaked out.
And it's going to turn an uproar in your life.
It is.
Your lifestyle.
And it creates, and if you don't have the knowledge, and of course, then the problem is that the insurers have effectively suggested to everyone, they've never mandated it, but they really kind of suggest that your first call after the accident must be to them. I mean, it can't be to your mom or, 911 or anything else. They've kind of cultivated this idea that your obligation is to them, and you have to call them, and they're going to spring into action and start helping you. And that's because they're going to be helping you by helping themselves, suggesting you utilize a particular collision repair shop or a tow company or anything else. And of course, that's been, back to the original question about the election repair, that has been a significant problem, because to attempt to have the control insurers want to have and enjoy with an election to repair, but without the liability that they would experience if in fact they do elect to repair, they have created these preferred shop networks, and they go by a whole variety of different names. Every insurance company that has one has a nifty little name for it. And they effectively tell you, you will be, oh, these are the top quality, absolutely best, best equipment, best trained, everything, which may be a big fat falsehood. I mean, it may be true,
Yeah.
or it may be a lie.
Right.
And I am not in any way suggesting that there are not very, very good shops who are part of one or more insurance companies' preferred programs. But to get onto the insurance company's program, you effectively, as a shop, have to agree to repair the vehicle the way the insurance company wants it to be repaired and thinks would be appropriate, even though they don't have any of the training, knowledge, or liability that you may have. And they want you to completely and fully indemnify them, which means that you will pay the insurance company for anything that happens or that they might end up having to pay for, even if it's for their own dumb mistakes.
Yeah.
So I always tell people, unless you personally have experienced the quality of the repairs that a repair shop who is on an insurance company direct repair program that the insurer is recommending you utilize, unless you know what their work is really like. And I don't just mean, does the paint look pretty?
Right.
I mean, is it solidly repaired, properly repaired, all of your sensors back in place, your airbags have been checked, your seat belts have been checked or replaced. Unless you know the quality that shop provides, do not take the insurance company's recommendation.
Yeah.
I mean, I tell people that all the time.
Yep.
And again, I don't mean that disparagingly toward any direct repair shop, but it's just unfortunately a reality that, as I know, we've seen, the 2017 jury verdict in the Sibashan versus John Eagle Collision Center case, where we had a $42 million verdict that was rendered against a State Farm preferred collision repair shop in Texas, because the shop, guided by what State Farm would pay them to repair this Honda Fit, rather than welding and replacing 110 welds in the roof when they repaired the roof, they decided to use the industrial equivalent of super glue, because State Farm said that was appropriate and that was okay, and that's all that they would pay for. And the collision repair shop opened themselves up to all the liability in the world, and they almost killed these two people. The young couple who ended up owning the car and were in a subsequent accident in an improper repair, they almost burned to death. I mean, almost burned to death. I had never heard of 4th degree burns before I learned about that case.
Horrible.
And, you just look at it and you think, if it hadn't been for the people who had stopped on the road and helped drag this couple out of the car, my understanding is that the car exploded later, as one would expect. I mean, they'd be dead. And that was all because some collision repair shop allowed itself to be influenced by what the insurer said. Oh, we don't pay for fixing it the way Honda says you need to fix it. We are substituting our judgment for Honda, and we think super glue is a better option. Was
State Farm held responsible for any of that, or it all went on the body shop?
The $42 million was against the body shop, and some amount of that, 25%, I believe, was applied to the person who was responsible for causing the accident. But the plaintiffs had already settled with that person. State Farm was sued by the plaintiffs, the Sibashans, in a later lawsuit that I understand was settled. And I'm sure confidentially so. As insurers are wont to do, we don't tend to hear about how much they pay or don't pay or whatever.
Right. Well,
but yes, to the best of my knowledge, yeah, to the best of my knowledge, State Farm was held responsible on some level, because if they had not agreed to something in favor of the plaintiffs, they wouldn't have settled the case. It would have simply been dismissed.
Yeah,
It's terrible.
Well,
It's grievous.
that's an understatement. Yeah, it's an understatement. When they start just for the sake of money, put people.
They say
at risk.
your life isn't worth $500.
Right. Well,
That's what they're saying.
and there's becoming fewer and fewer shops that are willing to take the stand that, look, we're not going to do it your way. We're going to do it the correct way, and they get blackballed. Well, hey, I'm a perfect.
Look at you.
Yeah,
Your shop's living proof of that. You try to do it the right way. You try to stand up for the consumer, and you get punished for it. And
I guess
insurers are very, very, very effective because consumers are afraid of auto insurance companies.
Yeah. I look back and I often think, if the insurance companies hadn't just run me into the ground because I wasn't doing it their way, they wouldn't have me to contend with today.
That's right.
They would have probably been much better off to let me run my body shop and let me repair cars properly, because now I can just full-time effort at helping consumers do it the right way. So
absolutely. And you know what? That's one of those ray of sunshine kind of things that, because of this particular activity, on the part that they wanted you out of the Seattle-Tacoma area as a body shop, well, they unleashed you on the nation.
That's true. I think right now I may be the expert in probably about at least 20 or 30 class action lawsuits, and it just gives me time to find more and more egregious activity by them and violations, and to go out and shop law firms that are willing to go after them.
Right.
Well, Erica, always just so much fun to talk with you, and you're so full of energy. Let's do this again sometime.
I'd love it. Mike, it's always a pleasure to be with you and to be on your show.
Erica, thank you so much. You're so full of energy and so full of knowledge, and you have such a desire to help. I really appreciate that of you. We will put the nonprofit website address on the site, so that you can go and get some of the resources that are available to you as a consumer, so that you better understand and that you can assert your rights when you have a claim. And you may not find this information helpful right now, but sooner or later you're bound to have an accident. You, friends, family, someone close to you is going to need some help. And knowing where to go, who to call on, is going to be really important for you to have a good result. So hopefully the information that's available on her nonprofit site it's amazing. I mean, there is so much there that people that I'm aware of that are in the industry, the collision industry, actually go to Erica for help to better understand the relationships, which are so confusing. So with that, I just want to say, stay safe, wear your mask, keep your distance, and we'll see you same time, same place next week. This has been Crash Talk.